Spittin' It with Mark and Monica.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode with Mark and Monica.
Welcome, everybody.
Sorry it's taken us a minute for this next episode to drop. I've been healing from a back injury, and that has taken me a lot longer than I anticipated. The fun parts of getting old.
Yes, the blessings of old and wisdom. Sometimes it's the recovery that sucks part of it.
I am 2 days into not as much pain, I should say. Not no pain, but it's not as much pain. At least not constant pain. So I'm happy about that, and we're back.
We're back. Hey, we're going to talk about our homeowners, and some of you are renters. We've been both. We'll talk about pros and cons of each.
In our lifetime, we have rented houses, we've rented apartments, and we have we
rented a
owned...
trailer one time.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
In
we
Sterling,
did.
Colorado.
That's right, we did.
Icky poo.
Yeah, and we owned houses too. And well, obviously the con to renting is that it's not yours.
Right, you can't do anything. You can't put anything in there. There's no character. You can't be like, oh, this is my house, I'm going to put these.
You can't paint.
Can't do anything.
You can't hang things on the walls. Thanks to command hooks, that makes that much easier to be able to hang things without putting nails in the wall.
Technology.
No, you rent. And when you have kids and you rent, it's such a pain also, especially if you're renting an apartment, because you want your kids to be quiet. You don't want them to be loud for your neighbors. And kids don't always take care of things the way you want them to take care of things. And when you're renting someplace, you really have to take care of. It's their house.
Right.
It's their space.
They don't always understand, depending on the age, that it's really not their house. Even though there's no this, there's no that. It's like, well, it feels like their house, so they're going to kind of treat it like it's their house. So you have to watch out for that with having
our last
kids.
Rental. Should we tell them what our son did to our last rental?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he drove his car. He thought he was in reverse. No, he was in drive. And he drove it into the garage, into the house, into the brick structure of the house.
Yes.
That we were renting.
Yes.
Needless to say, the deposit did not come back to us.
We figured we were going to lose that deposit, and we lost all of it.
We did.
I fixed it, of course, but it was not. I didn't repair the whole thing. I just repaired the immediate repair, not the entire frame.
And the pro?
The pros, lots of pros of owning houses. You can do lots of
renting.
stuff. Oh,
renting. Yeah.
Okay. Pros of renting. You don't have to fix anything. You call the landlord. Something
yes.
broke. Call the landlord. This isn't working. Call the landlord.
That is true. And plus, another, I think, a pro is then you can go to different neighborhoods and see what you like. Because when you first move to a city, you don't know the areas. You might not know what the good area is, what the bad area is. You can really get a feel for that if you rent a place.
Yeah, if you're in a city big enough where you can rent for at least 6 months to get a feel for where you really want to go, that is ideal if you can do that.
And then there is owning a house. Oh, I also want to point out, I forgot to say this. One of the worst things about renting is, do you remember when Alex was a baby? We had those neighbors right next door to us that played their music. I swear they slept during the day and were up all night. We had a newborn baby. They would play their music all night long. We'd go over there. We'd ask them to please be quiet. It didn't matter. Oh, and do you remember the place we lived in Colorado? The guy discovered bluegrass music. And
yes,
he would bring
bluegrass on the deck,
and he would bring his friends over.
7:30 to like 10:30, 11:30. Wow! Thank you, guys. Introduced me to banjos.
Okay, on to houses. What are some of the pros of having a house?
It's always good to own a house. Then you can have fun and make it your own and develop character and be like, wow, I can do this, or I can paint it that, or I can do whatever changes you feel like doing. That's the great part about owning a
And you're
house.
putting money into something. You're creating asset for yourself.
Yes, especially if you do make things better, which is what people normally do, then that adds value, which we've been fortunate enough to play a little bit in the real estate game and been successful in that aspect of it well. So we are.
Mark used to be a flipper, so he knows about houses a lot. We'll get into that on another discussion.
Yeah, we'll talk all the pros and cons of flipping, because there are many pros and many cons, of course.
Yes.
But overall, I was super happy with how it all worked out for me, at least.
Yeah.
Owning versus renting, I think it just depends on where you're at. We feel like if you feel like you're going to stay somewhere for at least 5 years, then it'd probably be a good idea to go ahead and see if you can buy a house versus renting. If you feel yourself short term, I don't know where I'm going to be for the next 5 years, renting's probably a better idea.
Well, and the other thing that you have to look at is sometimes, because this is what happened with us, we were going to rent in Sioux Falls when we moved to Sioux Falls because we weren't exactly sure where we wanted to live, so we were going to rent. It's actually cheaper to buy a house in Sioux Falls than it is to rent a house. So you have to kind of look at that too.
We found that true in Massachusetts as well. We ended up having to buy because
it was cheaper to buy a house than to rent something.
To rent a house, and it was just hard to because it was established, and we wanted a house, and they just were not available for what we wanted with where the schools were located. We had lots of other things we were looking at when we were moving up there, but yeah, it was cheaper to go ahead and buy one versus renting one.
And what about the cons? Well, the cons of owning a home, I know Mark would tell you because he tells me all the time, is he feels like he lives at Home Depot.
Yes. DIY. My guy. Yeah, really. It's great though for me because learning new things is always what I'm all about. Learning new things. And
you spend a lot of time working on your house if you own a house. Our last house in North Carolina, we had a pool. Let Mark tell you the difference between a saltwater pool and a chlorine pool.
Here we go. When we first moved there and we got that house, it was set on a chlorine basis, which meant hours of test strips and lots of different additives at the supply store for the water. And then it was every day you had to clean all the time.
I
must have spent
hours
2 hours of my day, hour and a half, 2 hours every day. And
every day.
Finally, we were, I don't know.
A friend got a saltwater.
2 years in or something.
Yeah.
We went he was having a party, block party across the way. So I'm like, what is that you have on your pool? He had a pool similar to ours, outdoor, big pool. It had like 15,000 gallons or whatever. It was a big pool. And just like ours, and I was like, how is yours so sparkling clean? And mine's a pain in the ass every damn day. Come on.
Right.
Help a brother out. What you got going on there? And he said it was a saltwater system. Now, he had his, I think a couple years in, he paid like $1,500 to get. I'm like, ouch, quit it. I'm like, is there anything more modern? I ended up going to like BJ's Wholesale, bought one for like, I don't know, $400.
We weren't sure if it would work or not.
We didn't know. Yeah, it's technology. It worked out great, though. You just have to add a ton of salt at the beginning, and then if it ever starts turning a color or anything like that, you just add a little bit more salt, let the system work it every day, and it was, But that was a time saver. Saved me an hour and a half every day. It was nice. That was a big help. So salt water all the way for those of you pool owners, at least down south, salt water was the way to go. Way less maintenance, way cheaper to maintain, and just less pain in the ass. Yeah, and we had over an acre of land on our house in North Carolina. So Mark also really got tired of doing yard work all the time. Yeah. And we had really bad poison ivy. And you got poison ivy every year. I did. Yeah. I was steroid guy for like a week every year. I'd get it and they'd be like, here comes steroids. The meds they would get him wouldn't work. So Mark would have to do the bend over. He would have to get those meds. Yep. I got the power pack and the butt shot. I was like raging. Oh, and then we had those trees in the back, and then they had that bug thing, and you and Alex were up there all night picking those bugs and those worms out of the trees. Like, literally had to pick them out. I'm like battling spiders on their own ground, and like there's chipmunks in there. There's all kinds of wooded animals that you just wouldn't know. It was crazy. But that's the joys of home ownership. And along with home ownership, one of the things that
we wanted to talk about was services. And the services in the service industry, for example. Like as far as owning a home, you're going to run across your heating and air guys, your plumbings, your electrician. And we wanted to talk a little bit about that and tell you kind of our experiences. We have not had good experiences with plumbers.
No, we haven't, especially here.
No.
Now, when we had our houses in Carolina, they were fairly newer.
So we didn't have the same
some
problems.
of the same issues. Most of them were built after 2000.
The house that we are living in now in South Dakota is 100-year-old house.
Yeah, so it's an old house.
And we have 100-year-old problems in the 100-year-old house. Because unfortunately, the people that lived here, they didn't take care of her the way she needed to be taken care of.
Yes.
And they let a lot of things go. And unfortunately for us, we have had to fix that.
That have to fix it.
And the plumbing we have had plumbing out left and right. We've had plumbing issues. We had Thanksgiving, our first Thanksgiving in the house. Everybody over, food prepared, went to clean up, and the sink died. The plumbing died. Plumbing backed up.
Backed
dead.
up in the sinks.
I had to do dishes in the bathtub.
Yes, we had to figure out a way.
I did. I had to learn to do dishes in the bathtub. Oh my gosh. Come to find out, our tree, the roots grew through the pipes, through the basements. Oh my gosh. And just to get somebody out. To even help us just diagnose the problem.
Yeah,
it took 3 different plumbers.
Yeah.
To even just get somebody to help us with an answer. And then they would come out and charge you $100 to come out and be like, I don't know what the problem is. Sorry. You need to write a check to so-and-so for $100.
Oh my God. We're just like, you've got to be kidding me. This is garbage.
It was just a disaster. And so then Mark, because he flipped houses and knows how to do some stuff, was working on Hope's bathroom downstairs, hit the water thing on the toilet.
Yeah, the pipe split a little bit, and it just started
and
seeping
water.
out.
No, seeping a little. Mark, that was splashing out like a movie. That was coming out like a fire hydrant.
We'll call that a gusher.
And there was water coming out everywhere, and you're screaming. And so it's at night. And we don't know what to do. And we can't find the water shut off. We're in a brand new house. And of course, we're dorks. And that's not one of the first things.
I should have asked right away, of course.
And so lesson learned, people. Know where everything is on your house, by the way. Just an FYI. When you're moving into a house, make sure you know where your fuse box, where all the fuse to everything is.
All electrical,
make sure
all
you
water,
know where all your cables buried.
All of it.
Yeah. And so we didn't know where the water switch off. We couldn't get the water switched off. We tried calling plumbers. None of the plumbers would come. Alex finally found one, and they said it would be like 2 hours before they would come. Well, meanwhile, I called the city of Sioux Falls, and they said they'd send somebody out. They sent somebody out right away.
And by the way, they were awesome.
They were
City
awesome.
of Sioux Falls, big ups,
They were great. They came right out and fixed it for
Yep.
us. So we called the plumbers back and told them there would be no need to come out because we couldn't wait 2 hours. We would have had water everywhere had we had to wait 2 hours.
Forget it.
Well, anyway, she did not relay the message back to the plumber, and he came out anyway.
Yes, and he was being...
And he demanded for us to let him in our house. And we wouldn't let him in. And then he threatened not to leave until we wrote him a check for the amount that it cost for him to come out. And then said that if we didn't do that, he threatened to put a lien.
Like, I'll put a lien on your house.
And he said he was going to report us to the city for doing plumbing work that we're not licensed to do. We were shocked. I'm not lying. We were shocked that someone would treat us that way.
Literally just shutting a valve off under a toilet. Like, come on, people.
Yeah, that was crazy.
We fought that one too.
Yeah. Well, then what ended up happening was I wrote bad reviews about them online.
You yelped them.
And then they got really upset. So then they called back and offered to give us all of our money back if I took down my bad reviews. And Mark talked to him on the phone and said, Okay, but send us the money first. And they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I tried playing chicken with them. They didn't want to play with me.
They wouldn't do
I'm like,
it.
listen here, I'll take it down.
And we would have taken it down.
We would have.
But we just
I said,
didn't
the ball's
trust
in
them.
your court. If you show gratitude, you show me. I said, I'll show you. And she's like, I'm not going to do it. I said, well, see, that's the problem. I can't trust you now.
Yeah.
I said, I can't trust you. If I take the information down, how do I know that you're going to give me that money? And she said, I'm going to give you. I said, I don't trust you. You just lied to me. I said, how can I trust you?
And so we ended up never getting our money back with them. Needless to say, I left the bad review.
We wouldn't take it down.
So that was our life with plumbers. And then and then we had our inspector. You know, when we bought this house, we had the inspector look at things for us. The inspector didn't notice that there was a water problem downstairs. And when I say a water problem, we had a water problem. What's that thing you had to put in the wall?
It's weird. It's like this plastic kind of membrane that gets to the wall. So as if the wall does leak, which is just this giant plastic thing that sits off the wall. And then you dig a channel at the bottom, puts a little bucket that goes down into the earth. Basically, and we cover it with like...
It's just, the thing was the number one thing with us with buying a house is I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to have water issues.
Right. And
that was our number one issue.
And it just goes to show they're not thorough is what we're trying to get. They are not thorough because that wasn't the only... There was 2 other mistakes we made.
Well, yes, because we noticed... And I know this is going to sound crazy, but we didn't notice it right away. But we noticed the next day when we moved into the house, everything stunk.
It was rotten.
There was a poop smell everywhere in the house. And we couldn't figure it out. People that lived here before us let their dogs pee and poop all over the carpets. They were smart. What they did is they shampooed it. The night before. Right. So when we came to look at the house, you couldn't tell. And of course, he never picked up the rug to tell. It was the rug. When we pulled out the rugs, the hardwood floors were so damaged. We had a specialist come out who specializes in restoring hardwood floors. And he told Mark he had never seen floors that bad.
It was stained rotten.
And there was nothing he could do. They couldn't save them. I mean, we couldn't even save our floors. So that's another thing the inspector didn't catch.
No.
And then our pipes. I'll let you talk about that.
Well, the stack pipe that goes to the drain, first of all, there was exposed. You could even see it was exposed. The threads were exposed near where our upper bathroom meet the stack below. He didn't catch that, and
it was also cracked.
It was cracked. Yeah, and it was smelling. And
then so what would happen?
Yeah, so then for every week or so, we just get this smell.
It's
rotten smell.
Well, it was like gas.
It was just It wasn't pleasant, whatever it was.
And we have had to deal with that for about 4 years now, on and off. And that has not been pleasant.
And it took them 2 times to get it
But we
fixed.
had wonderful plumbers this time.
Who
came out, helped us figure out the problem, took good care of us. And I can say nothing but great things about Rogers Plumbing. Thank you, Rogers Plumbing.
Ding, ding,
you guys
A+.
were great and saved us and saved our house from smelling.
And did proper work, was quick, efficient, and just did a great job. So very happy with them. We were missing an electrical box underneath our sink upstairs, so our inspector missed that as well. Oh. Needless to say, guess who got their money back after the inspection?
We got all of our money back. That inspector, I don't know how you guys find home inspectors, but can you pick your home inspector, or do you have to go with who the bank picks for a home inspector? How does that work?
I don't know, but we're gonna do it differently. We're doing our own thing.
We want someone that was working for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, it felt like this home inspector wasn't.
It felt like he was part of the team.
Yeah.
Just to get us through, we were grinders, just to get us in there, turn the meat, and let us then on to the next. I feel like he didn't do a thorough job. I called him out on it, and then I asked him, I'm like, so since you didn't inspect that very well, I said, how much does it cost to replace a stack? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, but wait a minute. I said, that's the problem. You're the expert and you don't know. I said, I want to know how much it costs and you should know that. And that doesn't make any sense to me. I said, you're the expert and that's a simple question. And if you look at these every single day and you have no idea, that's a little weird. You should know your stuff. You should know your product. You should know the things you're looking at. He called me back and was like, he did research because he gave me details about how much it would cost and stuff. And I'm like, see, I said, that's all I'm asking for is I'm asking for you just to know your job, do your job, and be held accountable to your job like we all are every day. I feel like the servicemen always get a break, man. They kind of do what they want sometimes and get away with it. And I'm not good with that.
But we're not going to just sit here and complain the whole time. Not. Because we have had good services.
Yes, we have.
And one of our favorites that we like to toot his horn is Gary's Neighborhood Automotive. If you ever need your car fixed in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, we say go to Neighborhood Automotive.
Yes, Gary
That's who we go
awesome.
to. We love you, Gary. We love you.
Great job, great service, good honest person, and just does great work in your car.
He is such a great guy. I read a review online and I just loved this. There was a couple that was from out of town and they were at I think it was Culver's.
It was Culver's.
And their car broke down and someone recommended that they call Gary. And Gary came to Culver's, figured out what was wrong with their car, fixed it, and didn't even charge them anything. And sent them on their way. I mean, he is such a great guy. He has helped us every time we've ever needed anything. And we needed our cars in. He's got us right in. And we'll talk about this in the future. We're going to be looking for a new car soon.
Yes.
We went to him. We discussed, Gary, can you help us figure out what's the best car to get for us?
Right. And he was honest. Yeah. And that's what you want. You just want
honest.
Just
been great. Yeah. And so in that aspect, we feel lucky because we haven't always had that.
Yeah, it's tough to find a good auto mechanic.
It's cars. Well, we've had a lot of cars. Another thing we were going to talk about is as far as renting or owning a house, how do you guys feel about a car? Do you lease your cars?
Or you own your cars?
Right. Or are you one of those that buys your car outright? Or do you get a loan? We've done both. I prefer to just be able to buy a car.
If you can outright buy a car, that's the best way to go.
I don't like having loans. I don't like loans for anything. Mark and I don't even own a credit card. We don't have loans.
We don't.
We don't owe people money. We don't pay people stuff. I don't like that. That was another thing because we are looking at getting a new car soon, and some people have recommended leasing, but I've never leased a car. I read online, and I don't know if that's something that would work for us. And we usually just buy. Our kind of MO is to buy a car that's decent, mid-priced. We don't buy like cheap cars that aren't going to get us around, but we don't buy expensive cars either. We buy used cars. Would you say 50,000 miles or so?
Yeah, try to find a used car that has, anywhere under 50,000 miles.
What do you look at when we buy a used car? What's your criteria?
I think it just depends on where you live. I think depending on where you live and then how far you have to commute to your job is the key. Because we've owned lots of different cars. I know when we lived in Colorado, that little Honda Civic were going back and forth. When I used to go to Thornton every day. Back and forth from Loveland.
Yeah, you wanted a car that had good gas mileage.
Good gas mileage. So then it was like, okay, I can have a smaller car there. So that Civic worked great there.
But then as the kids got older, like we bought the brand new Rendezvous. Now that was the only car that we ever bought brand new. 2002 Buick Rendezvous. Worst car we've ever owned.
Worst ever.
Worst car.
Yeah, give that a bad...
Talk about services and things that we have had to do to try and fix that car. That car has been nothing but problems since we had that car.
Yeah, and we let that go before we moved here, thank goodness.
Yeah, we sold that back in like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, that car was nothing but a nightmare. All we were ever doing is getting that car fixed. And we bought that brand new, off the lot, brand new.
Brand new. It had like 20 miles on it or something like that. But it was the very, very first edition of a brand new vehicle. And you had all the little nicks and crannies that go wrong with that every time. And we found out the hard way.
And we ended up selling it to get rid of it. And we never do that. We drive cars till they die.
Yeah, we drive them till they die. That one, we're like, let's
philosophy.
Get rid of it. We're just like, this is more trouble than what it's worth.
Yeah.
It has left us high and dry too many times, and we just weren't comfortable driving it at the end. We had to get rid of it.
Mark used to go to a place where you could bid on cars, like government cars or drug seized cars, And we got a couple of our cars there.
Yeah, we got some good cars there because they were always monthly tested. The oils were changed. Everything like that was done. Now, it was just kind of it wasn't like a souped up version unless you found a drug seizure, but you can never trust those. So the state ones are the safe bet. Mm-hmm. And they had some decent cars.
We bought a 2004 Taurus.
Yeah, and Alex still has
to this
that
day,
car.
And it's 2020. Still drives that car. How many miles are on that car?
Over 200,000.
And he still is driving that car. Like I said, we drive cars until they die. The Skylark.
Yep, and that was a good one.
We had the Skylark, and she was like, at the end, when it rained, it leaked inside. The windows didn't seal, like all that stuff. But you still drove it because we were like, she won't die.
She won't die.
She won't die.
I ended up selling that one to Daniel, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. We have had some. Oh, how about the Camaro we had when we first were together?
Yes, Baroom Baroom. I like the Nissan 200SX. That was my favorite to drive.
Well, yeah, but why don't you tell everybody how long you had the Camaro?
Not very long, because the transmission went
like in months, literally months.
Waste of
money.
time.
Yeah, I know you liked your Nissan, and now we drive a little Kia.
Little Kia, it's perfect for around town. Gets us here and there. Great gas mileage. So if you do want to road trip it somewhere, and it's comfortable enough. The only issue that we say it's not the greatest ride itself.
Yeah, it's not the greatest riding car, but it's a great car.
It's a great
you need to
car.
get in town, you need to go places, you need to get in and out of traffic and get somewhere fast, and you could squeeze into little spaces.
Yes.
Honestly, I used to look at those cars and laugh. It's a great car.
Yeah, you can get in and out. The only issue I see is people don't see you as clearly, even though it is that green color.
Yeah.
You are small enough where they don't get seen.
That's true, hon. That is true. Mark has had a couple of crazy accidents with that car. Because of the size of the car, it just hits people's blind spots.
Yes, because it's so small.
It's when they
shorter
reverse.
Car.
It's when they reverse.
I've been hit 2 times with people reversing.
It's when they reverse, they don't see our car. And that's the scary part of it. That's the not so fun part. We are going to be looking at getting a car, buying a brand new car.
Yes.
In the next couple of months. So tell us your thoughts. Tell us what you think is a great car for South Dakota. South Dakota weather. Think of the snow. Because we really need a car that's going to help us drive on ice and snow. And it'll just be nice to have, because right now we just have the one car. It would be nice to have another car.
Have a nice car. And we want it to be within 1 or 2 years old. No more than that.
Yeah.
No more than
so
1
tell
year.
us what your thoughts are. What you think would be a good car for us. Before we hang up for the night, we just want to remind everybody, stay safe.
Stay safe.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Be careful out there, people. It's hitting our families close. My family, where my daughter at her job, where she works in North Carolina, the people are dropping like fleas with COVID there. My son at his grocery store job, a lot of people have COVID. It's happening to everywhere around us.
It really is.
So just be careful. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't want to be told to wear a mask because they feel it infringes on their rights. But you're keeping the other people safe too. And that's the important thing. You have to think about everybody.
The community.
It's a village. It takes all of us to get through this world. We can't be selfish. We have to take care of each other. So please wear a mask and social distance. Thank you.
Thank you.